This is the moment Nancy Pelosi had been waiting for. And let me repeat the statistic. This is the first person in 6 decades to return to the speakership of the United States House of Representatives. Nancy Pelosi in her bright raspberry dress today, taking on the gavel once again. Gloria Borger and Dana Bash are with me. Happy New Year to both of you ladies. And just let's, Dana, I mean, I can still see scenes of you and now Speaker Pelosi eating ice cream in her old, her old haunt in, Little Italy in Baltimore when you did that incredibly extensive and compelling interview with her. I mean, can you just talk us through, since you've been covering her for so long, what does this moment feel like for her?
Well, it's vindication. It is a reminder that being confident and being strong as a woman is not necessarily a bad thing and not a negative. It is, the fact that you can persevere over an onslaught of negative attacks, which is certainly something that she has had to deal with. Mostly from Republicans over
and will continue to.
Right, exactly. but being used as a club against her rank and file Democrats in ad after ad after ad, some of which rubbed off, and so that's why it wasn't as easy as it was 12 years ago to get the votes that she needed. She needed to make compromises, but that is a hallmark of her leadership and why and how she got to be where she is. Because she understands the need for consensus and for compromise, not just across the aisle, but with the people who she leads within the Democratic caucus. So it was not a given that she was going to be able to do this again, and she had to agree that she would be term limited. She is, 78 years old. She is one of several Democratic leaders who are about that age, and so there was a very big push for a new generation, and it was not an accident that Hakeem Jeffries, who a couple of hours ago, I guess it was now, gave the speech nominating her. He is the Democratic caucus chair, that he was the one to do so. It seemed to me like that was an indication that she was making clear she was passing the baton to a new generation.
Gloria, what do you think?
Well, I agree with Dana, and let me just say Dana's interview with her was absolutely amazing because she was so honest about what it has taken for her to get where she is. I mean, I was sitting up in the chamber in 2007 when she was first elected speaker and was surrounded by her children and her grandchildren, and it was such a moment because, of course, it was the first woman speaker, and here she is again, having lost the House, been defeated, people in her own party saying she's too old, we need new blood. And she made it very clear, as she did to Dana in Dana's interview, that she knows how to count and she knows how to get things done. And if you talk to anybody in the Obama administration, they will tell you, including our colleague David Axelrod, they will tell you that they would not have gotten Obamacare were it not for Nancy Pelosi's ability to corral her Democrats and count those votes.
Skill.
Absolutely a skill.
Yeah, and the one thing I'll also add to that is that obviously, as Gloria said, she was there, watching when she first became the very first female speaker. She's obviously still the only female speaker in the history of America. And, it was obviously a historic moment for women, but she didn't wear her femininity on her sleeve and her, for lack of a better way to say it, girl power on her sleeve the way she is now. And that was one of the things that was striking when I talked to her, and I've seen in other interviews since, the fact that she is very openly, aggressively, consciously trying to send messages to women of all parties in a nonpartisan way and of all professions, all walks of life, that it is okay to be a powerful woman without, getting all of the baggage that generally comes along with it.
Sure, and I just want to remind everyone the quote, right? Her daughter made news in the last 24 hours. You ladies know where I'm going to go, because she's tough, man, woman in that position. Not only do you have to know how to count, you have to be tough, and this is what her daughter has just said, quote, "She'll cut your head off and you won't even know you're bleeding." You know, and so that from her own daughter, and again by Republicans. You know, Danny, you made the point a second ago about how she's known to being public enemy number one. We're going into the 2020 election. She will continue to be. Obviously, who knows how this will evolve between her and the Republicans in the Senate, and of course the guy over at 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue. I mean, Gloria, to you, how does she handle that?
Well, look at the way she handled the meeting with Donald Trump and Chuck Schumer before the holidays, where in the Oval Office, where she came right out. And I thought that was such a moment where, the president was kind of implying, I know you got a race you've got to deal with, and it's a little difficult for you right now. And she just shut him down. And she said, don't characterize the strength that I bring to this meeting as the leader of House Democrats. So she wasn't going to let him get away with that. Don't characterize the strength that I bring to anything. And I think that was sort of an iconic moment for her, which is, you're not going to get away with that, Mr. President. And as you know, in these interviews that she's been doing, she has not held back about what it's like to deal with the president. She told NBC this morning, you're not dealing with science, you're not dealing with facts, it's very difficult. So I don't think she's going to hold back because she's being attacked by Republicans. Being attacked by Republicans for Nancy Pelosi is kind of old news. I mean, she's been the poster child for, I don't know, a decade maybe?
Exactly.
Yeah, exactly. So that's kind of old news for her. Now she needs to get something done and corral her Democrats and not let them overreach. I think that's her. I think that's her real concern right now.
Yeah, and the one thing I also want to add to that is that she obviously is not afraid to stand up to the president, but there is a mutual admiration there. I mean, talk to anybody who knows the president, and they will tell you that he gets it. He gets that she is powerful. I mean, what is the president known to respect? People who made a lot of money and people who can wield their power, and people who play golf. I don't know how her golf game is, but he respects the fact that she can wield her power in a pretty remarkable way, much more, as he saw, than the Republicans who've led the House caucuses over the last several Congresses. And so how that manifests itself with negotiations like the one we have in front of us now, who knows? But if you're looking at real bipartisan legislation, which could happen, it could happen, infrastructure, prescription drug prices, things that do matter to both parties and to, in the case of prescription drugs, to every consumer and voter out there, maybe it could make a difference.
But staying on for a second on Trump and Nancy Pelosi, and I'm sure you ladies as well, being away on break for a minute, I got a lot of, okay, well, new Congress, what's this going to mean for President Trump? What happens? And what happens is, this is really the first time that this president will be facing accountability, in the sense that you now have Democrats in control on the House side. And I know we can't predict the future, although a lot of people wish we could. Gloria, what are the first couple of steps we will be witnessing for Democrats pushing for answers, do you think?
Well, look, the Democrats are going to be start off talking about the president's tax returns. They're going to want accountability on border policy. The chairman of the House Judiciary Committee is saying he might subpoena the acting attorney general to appear before the committee because he hasn't been answering their request to appear about how he was appointed. You're going to hear Democrats talk a lot about ethics, anti-corruption laws, campaign finance. You may even hear them talk about extended background checks for guns. I think they have to do a couple of things. They're going to push back on Donald Trump, and they're going to exercise their oversight responsibility, but they can't descend into chaos. They have to prove that they have an agenda to present to the American people.